So, hi Peyton. First of
Oh,
all, we are super fans from India.
excellent. Hi, Superfan.
Fans have been going crazy, anticipating the epic battle between Ant-Man and Kang. What can we expect?
Well, I think you can expect the unexpected from Quantumania. We're excited in this third Ant-Man movie to be kicking off Phase 5 in the MCU. And as we started, a few years ago now, formulating what this movie was going to be, we love the idea of pitting Ant-Man and the Wasp, the tiniest Avengers and maybe the most unlikely heroes, and pitting them against Kang the Conqueror. He's a villain who has dominion over time, and he's a multiversal villain. And he also has variants. I was a kid who grew up reading the Marvel comics and loved Kang the Conqueror. And so for me personally, I'm thrilled to be the person to introduce the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Kang the Conqueror, played brilliantly by Jonathan Majors. So we liked this idea of really at a point in Scott Lang's life where he may be kind of resting on his laurels. He's written a book called Look Out for the Little Guy, which is he was really told by the Avengers, you're going to be the guy to write the official account of the battle against Thanos and tell your own story. And it's become an international bestseller. So Scott's looking in the rearview mirror at the beginning of this movie, but things conspire in this movie to suddenly pull him back into action in a very, very unlikely way.
In the trailer, we noticed that Citadel of Kang looks like a pyramid. Is that connected to Rama-Tut?
It's a very good question. For the viewers who may not know, Rama-Tut in the comic books is one of the variants of Kang. So there may be some little hints throughout the movie of that owe to some of the other Kang variants. But what you've probably seen in the movie is a citadel created by our Kang the Conqueror within the quantum realm. And when you see the movie, the quantum realm means something very different to Kang the Conqueror than it does to Janet Van Dyne or Hank or Scott or Hope. So without spoiling anything, Kang is in the Conqueror. Kang the Conqueror is in the quantum realm, but he may not want to be in the quantum realm.
Okay. So my question is related to MODOK. So we saw MODOK in the trailer, and it's really good to see Corey Stoll playing that character. So here I wanted to know, was it really planned back in Ant-Man 1?
That's a very, very good question. MODOK is a character, again, as a kid, MODOK creeped me out when I was reading the comic books as a kid, because he's a really grotesque character who basically, again, for the uninitiated, is a floating head, a human being who's been transformed into a mechanized organism designed only for killing, or a mental organism designed only for killing, depending on the period of the comics. As we were developing the story, we had a lot of thoughts about how to bring MODOK into this and why we wanted to do it organically. And without spoiling too much, when you see the movie, I think there are things that we set in motion in the first Ant-Man. When we were making the first Ant-Man, and it was pointed out today that when Paul Rudd and Adam McKay came in and we were all rewriting the first movie together, we introduced the idea of the quantum realm in that movie. It had not existed in the previous scripts. And now that the quantum realm has paid off in such grand fashion that in the last movie, we got to rescue Janet Van Dyne. In Endgame, Scott Lang and the quantum realm proved crucial to defeating Thanos. And now we go further into the quantum realm in this movie and start to answer the questions of, what was Janet Van Dyne doing down there for 30 years? She wasn't wandering around a void for 30 years. There was a lot going down there, and that she may have had contact with a very crucial player in this movie.
Okay.
So, just one more thing. Who do you think is the strongest player of the two, Thanos or Kang the Conqueror?
Well, listen, I'm biased. Obviously, Thanos was a very, very powerful antagonist in the MCU and did some real damage to the MCU, damage that reverberates, through our movie. Again, a big theme in our movie is time, for obvious reasons, because Kang the Conqueror has dominion over time. But it's also been a theme in all the Ant-Man movies that Scott Lang, he's lost all this time with his daughter. That's an ongoing theme, this theme of family, and the idea that Scott Lang is just trying to have good work-life balance. He has his duties as an Avenger.
Yeah,
and he also wants to be a good dad. so it struck us that both Kang the Conqueror and Scott Lang have a unique view on time. The thing that maybe gives Kang the edge for me over Thanos is that he's able to freely travel the multiverse and traverse time in a way that's unique, but also it's the variants. You know, there are so many Kang variants. And, you know, obviously we met He Who Remains in Loki. Kang the Conqueror in our movie is really the most feared of all of the Kangs. And he's a very, very different character than He Who Remains. Jonathan Majors will talk a lot about, you know, the conversations we had at the beginning about Kang. But Kang has a past, and in context of this movie, a very unique relationship with our heroes and with Janet Van Dyne in particular. So my money is going to be on Kang. There are a lot of them out there.
We love Louis' legendary flashback storytelling in all the Ant-Man movies. Are we going to see that again in this movie?
Well, you know, in this movie, as we started to construct the movie, there's a lot of story to tell. So there really wasn't room to sort of do everything. So we made a decision very early on that we were going to move most of the action into the quantum realm in this movie. We don't really spend time with the ex-con guys in this movie, but the characters and the people that Scott Lang meets on this adventure, I think you're going to be thrilled by.
Okay. So my next question is a bit from technical side of this movie. So around 2 years back, you tweeted for the volume, like you used volume for this movie, right? So I wanted to know, like, how this technology can change the future of MCU movies, how we shoot these movies and how we film these movies using the volume, how we can change that.
It's interesting because, you know, we talked about, obviously you can't shoot the quantum realm on location. It's got to be wholly created. And I used the volume on the Mandalorian episodes that I had done.
Yeah, right.
And sort of like, you know, had fun playing around with that technology. And we knew as we were creating these different environments, there were certain environments in our movie that made sense to use the volume and then certain environments that didn't. So what we ended up doing is a combination of methodologies in the movie. Some environments use the volume and some use traditional blue screen or green screen. And they provide very different textures. I can tell you that the actors loved using it because, you know, instead of looking at, you know, a blue screen or a green screen and trying to just imagine what's going to happen, they're able to see sort of an actual rendering of what's going on. And I know they were just thrilled by the idea of seeing this thing and feeling like they were really in that environment. So I do think it affects the performance in a really positive way. And also just the interactive light is fantastic. But we were determined to use a bunch of different methodologies in this movie to create as vivid a world that, for my money, demands to be seen on a big screen. You know, we shot in IMAX format. So it's a movie that you really want to see in theaters and be immersed in it. Like,
you have any message for Indian fans?
Yes. Hello, India. It's Peyton Reed, director of the Ant-Man movies, and of course, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. I want to extend a formal invitation for you to join us on a family trip down to the quantum realm. Like a lot of family trips, it may start off one way and end up another way. So be prepared for things to take some very weird turns down in the quantum realm. And we're excited to be kicking off phase 5 of the MCU. And thrilled that you can join us and see it on the biggest screen you can find in Dolby Atmos and IMAX. That's the way the movie should be seen. We want to take you to the quantum realm with us.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Peter.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
See ya. Bye.